Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Blah, blah, blah. What's flying high in the sky? It's Watt Boat. Today I have a video concept, one that I made about a year ago, actually, about the choice of defeat. Choosing defeat, in fact. And I'm just going to read a bit from the script and take some things away from, I guess, whatever I was thinking then. Have I chosen defeat? Still, I'm not quite sure. I feel like I've chosen the right path of defeat, if that's even a thing. But the choice of defeat is a detrimental decision. But man, is it so easy to choose. I would like to discuss in this video why I have chosen defeat and how it affects me. At the end of the day, choosing defeat is losing, always. But to be precise, it is losing to your own accord, which is still losing, but more controlled. Upon your own choice, you have decided to lose whatever it is that you have worked upon. Losing isn't just the act of not winning, that is to be made clear. Losing is actively having something you were involved in altered negatively due to your results of your own performance, whether mentally or physically, also due to others' performance and outside factors. Losing has various consequences depending on the severity and the importance of the situation. But what happens when you have lost yourself? What happens when you weigh your decisions, your pain, your grief, your thoughts, and they all tip the scales towards defeat? Well, you've lost, but most important of all, you have lost yourself, which is a grand defeat indeed. Because you can lose to anyone, anywhere, ever. But losing to yourself is something more important. Why I chose defeat. Losing is bad. No one wants to lose. So why would I choose defeat? This decision is something I have weighed, and as a man trapped in his own thoughts, it's something I've contemplated for years, going back and forth with my own morals and beliefs. The defeat I am facing is the loss of my very own mind. The defeat I am going to suffer from, but benefit from nonetheless, is the thought and care I put into my conversations and my social interactions. And speaking of social interactions, an important thing to note is that being a better listener and speaker is not a skill. I've been told that myself. Learning how to maximize your social interactions is far from a skill. It is only common sense, an ability humans have gained to fit in better and thrive socially. You're not special because you can speak better in social situations. Charisma is an attribute at this point, not even necessarily a skill. As far as as far as I've seen recently, I mean, over time, many loved ones and friends have pointed out that I care too much for others, and this statement is a fact. I do not care for myself much, and that is a mentally detrimental situation I simply cannot beat. I've made numerous decisions in my life for the goodwill of others, some that would be considered a much more selfish decision. Well, therapy, discussions, prescriptions, none of these solutions will ever befall my aid. I have learned that the love in my heart is deep. It will always have its impact on my life. But this impact is severely nullified by the trauma, the hate, and the fear and pain that sits in my heart and mind. I have learned to let so much go, but even after years of trying, I simply cannot make a dent in this mountainous pile of bad memories. I cannot stress the effort I have put into changing who I am. This hurt, angry, confused person who only wants to show the deep love he has in his heart to the world. I have wallowed in these thoughts so long, victory was buried deep. I have created so much pain for myself and others while striving for the betterment of myself in certain fields, that the fruits of my labor have grown rotten. I have fought a battle of good and malicious thoughts for as long as I have thought, and it seems I have lost. So here is when I feel I was not as invested in my own interests, in my own life. And yeah, I really spoke my mind here. I feel some of this may still be true, but I think now I care much less, because I'm trying to strengthen the idea that you are the most important person in your life, which is a complete fact. If you die, you are dead. You have no life. There is no world. There is no anything. Simply nothing exists if you're dead, because it doesn't exist to you, right? If you are no longer, not conscious, not any sort of part of this world, it never existed. It doesn't exist. To others it does, but to you, as you create or as the world around you exists only when you know it exists. That's the fact. When choosing defeat is proper, there are indeed some situations outside of my own I have provided where choosing defeat is much more helpful than pushing for victory. The most common example falls in argumentative situations. Now this one I can't agree with still. If you have no information to push yourself to victory, or even false information, how will you win an argument? You can win in your own mind by dejecting information and doubling down upon your own. You can win in your own mind. One moment. You can win in your own mind by dejecting information and doubling down upon your ideals. But that is not a win, my friend. That is a loss in disguise. You may also, and very commonly, face those that will die upon the hill of their opinions or information with a closed mind. And these people you're not going to get to. These people are set. They are a finite resource. Their brain power is a finite resource. They are not incapable of change, but absolutely not subject to it. Your words mean nothing. They don't. And when you realize they mean nothing, do not spend any more energy that is needed. Sunken costs. And those that will die upon that hill of their opinions or information with a closed mind, if you find yourself pushing for whatever reason for someone to listen to your claim, they show no signs of acceptance or understanding, you have lost. You have lost, they have lost, everyone has lost in that situation. There's nothing, if it's an important situation too, one that's life-changing for the better, you could not persuade them. But this is much less of your loss than the opponent in the argument. If they have chosen, they have won in their mind, and all is irrelevant. That is the world they are living in. They have created that world, their derivative. That is what they will decide. A wake-up call will be subject to them in the near future. A world to which you do not have a key to. When choosing these defeats, you have made it significantly easier for yourself to not wallow in this mental anguish. You understand your limitations, whether it be of knowledge or the influence of your own voice and actions. Defeat will never feel good, but in certain circumstances, especially if you have a powerful enough ego, or if the defeat you receive comes from someone dear to you, it can nullify much more future pain you may have experienced. So if you understand the concept of defeat, and defeat is something that is not stranger to you, each defeat will not hurt as much. You can not brainwash, but you can trick yourself even into receiving less from every instance of defeat. Now come the consequences of my defeat. Consequences of my defeat will shape some of my future. That is undeniably so. However, the morals and beliefs I have will hold steady, as this is something that will not change as a consequence of this loss. That is something that is down pat. That is something that is me, the essence of me. That would be difficult because I've chosen defeat, to remove all that is me. I will simply learn to care less, much less. I will have less love and care for those I barely know, and spend time with. Spend less time with them, because I've realized there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, and the valuable people, you need to remember why they're valuable. There are some people who are introduced to my life, and they're all right. But are they ever going to be more? No, they're not. The people who deserve my attention should receive it. And it's in no rude way or anything, but I simply don't need any more friends. I don't need more acquaintances. Everyone can be an acquaintance, but a friend is a higher tier, right? Everyone can't be your friend. Everyone can't be your best friend. I believe there's one best friend, because it is called best friend. I don't believe there's two. There's people who are my closest of friends, on the absolute top of how much I spend time with them, right? The connectivity. But they will never reach that top of best friend, because that is reserved for one person. Friends can always move up and down depending on how much time you spend with them. Someone you think is just can become much closer of a friend, even if they're still meh, because you've spent enough time with them, so you've created a different narrative for them yourself, even if they still are on average the same, maybe less interesting person. Time means so much. Time is a resource. That resource strengthens those relationships. But I am these effects will also determine whether or not I decide to make new friends, and be much more careful with my affection as to not attract more people into my life. I like the people I have right now. I am not interested for any more. I'm not. I think the good people I have in my life, to look for any more people who are better than that, is not only selfish but immoral to those people I've already spent time with. I have no more room. I always have love in my heart for everyone. I wish success for every single person out there, but I cannot be part of that. That is something you shape yourself. I can only give you words maybe once a blue moon, because there's too many people I need to spend that time on, and a lot of the time I need to spend on myself. It's a strange feeling, knowing that too much love is a bad thing, even if it knows its bounds and has its restrictions. But even in my own defeat, these consequences may even come to aid me in strange but important ways. This choice may even strengthen my bonds that I have with those I hold dearly. Less to go around means more to concentrate into one person. It is a resource. It is. This choice may even, you can always find some sort of value even after a loss. It is one of the most impactful ways humans have found out how to improve, how to build resilience, how to come back from depth, right? Finding something important, because that is hope. Choosing defeat is by no means giving up. It's coming to a middle ground with your logical and emotional senses. And with choosing this defeat, I have not decided it is over for me or my future. I just simply understand that I have lost a battle of my mind and heart. That is it. It is one defeat of many. There will be many defeats in your life. All defeats will have an impact, a negative impact in some sort of way. This can be one that is very present, or one that sits in the back of your head or heart that promotes anxiety, depression, or a whole plethora of detrimental effects. Both losing and winning has its pros and cons. You could even say I won by choosing my defeat. But once again, I have lost due to the negative consequences of this situation. There is always a loser at the end of a conflict, and the loser in my own battle is no other than myself. But for a second there, you're like, wait, winning has cons? Oh, but winning, you won. Winner, 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 winner. No, winning does have cons. With winning, especially in, we'll say, situations like games, like soccer, any sort of thing that promotes improving upon your set of skills already to be better at whatever you do. So we'll say a video game or something. Rocket League is a game I love. If I'm winning all the time in Rocket League, all I've learned is that I'm better than the people that I'm playing against. That's it. They are worse than me in some sort of way. What do you learn from winning? That you're just good? That you're playing good today? Is that it? That the only thing you learn that's useful is that all of the knowledge you've learned is effective, is being used currently. But outside of that, losing, you gain all sorts of knowledge. Why did I lose? Why am I not winning anymore? It's because of mistakes. It pinpoints those mistakes. I could make 1,000,000 mistakes and win. I could make millions of mistakes and win. But when those mistakes are finally called out and punished, that's when we find the need to remove those mistakes, to limit them, to keep an eye on them, because that promotes consistency. And consistency is one of the most valuable skills. It's a skill, it's a trait, whatever. It's very important. Consistency will create a path for success. It will. And consistency is the hardest thing to build. It's time. Time is a resource. Consistency can also be not that easy to build with time, depending on how you are managing your life, whatever thing that you want to learn. That can be hard. That can be very hard. But going back to defeat, defeat is not always bad. It is bad purely because most people have a negative thought on everything. It's been a really long time since I've heard someone be like, oh, okay, I did that, but that's fine because I can do this. There's no one with a there's very few people that I've experienced that have a positive mindset on defeats, on negative situations. Like a true positive, not just a saying or something to promote um, their morality, right? To make themselves look good or to trick themselves. True belief, true positive thinking, with conviction, without any room for biasy. Strong thinking. No. Everyone will think, or most people will think to an extent negatively when something negative happens. There's also the choice to not care. There's also the choice to think positively and reverse, basically, the situation in your mind. But that's all up to everything you learn. That's all up to your life experiences. That's a thing. That's resilience, you know? That's a part of what makes healthy thinking, positive thinking consistent. But defeat is not a decision, really, as much as I chose defeat. Some defeat is inevitable. I mean, when you think about everything, no people really decide to choose to lose unless it's like throwers or something. But even then, they have a reason. There's a reasoning behind all defeat. Anyways, losing a little bit of my narrative, so I'm gonna call it here. But let me know what you think of this video. This is like a year old, so and I wasn't as like coherent, I guess, in understanding what I was trying to. I wasn't as concise with what I was trying to share. So maybe I can go back on this and take a look at it again and give some thoughts on it. But it's like the one structured thing I guess I kind of have. So that's all. Take care.